All right. So today's topic is going to be a very simple, very straightforward topic, and that is going through the print publisher's checklist. What you should be doing every time you have an issue go to print. Now, what you see on the right is actually the cover page for a downloadable version of this checklist. We'd love you to download it, print it out, put it next to your desk or whoever is responsible for posting content. I'd also like to thank Nancy at On the Coast Magazine. A conversation I had with her last week um, led to us developing this download, and hopefully it's a great resource for all of you. I do want to stress we're going to talk about publishing your print content today. On May 20th, we covered ways to curate and create local content. I'm not going to get into that today. That was a previous office hours, and so this is going to be really focused on your print content. Now, a starting point that we really want to make sure that you appreciate before we dive in is that you have to think about posting your print content within the context of audience development. Now, many of you on this call or listening after the fact know that we put together an audience development webinar. So I'm also not going to go into much detail, or at least not too much detail, in how you cultivate that audience and engage them in print, but I will briefly hit on it because it's part of the checklist. You should invest 20 minutes in watching this webinar, and we're going to be talking about really bringing new process to your product. Your print product is sort of produced; it's a completed work, but the web is an ongoing, evolving animal. And what you see here is how we recommend you engage in print. So even before you go to print, ideally, days before you go to print, you'll do some coordination. You will get together and you'll evaluate your print content. You'll think, okay, what are we stripping out of print because we don't have room, or it doesn't fit, or it's a video and that's hard to watch on paper. And so start thinking about the things that you've created or cultivated or pulled together related to the print content, but can't fit. And then you want to develop your call to actions, your calls to action. I always put the S in the wrong place. Your calls to action are literally those graphics, that text that says to the reader, hey, if you care about this, go online for more. And it makes it very clear what they can expect when they go online. When you put together an icon, some text, very concise text, with an image or images, there's no confusion. I realize if I go online, there's a video or there's a gallery or there is something else that I'm actually interested in. And you also want to put together your business basics page. We've talked a lot about this. This is literally, or at least metaphorically, I suppose, the table of contents for the internet. Here are some things you can find online. It's different from print, but it's related to print. And again, the audience development webinar, there, do take a look, check that out, to really understand how these things work together. And frankly, how doing these things will make selling, yes, actually selling becomes easier when you do these things. And Ryan is sharing some links in the chat for those of you on the call live. So these are the first three things that you should do. Clearly, this happens before you finalize your print product because you got to slip in the CTAs and the business basics page or section. Now, once you've gone to print, we're going to suggest that you follow this in this issue approach. And we've spent some time in the past talking about this. We'll talk about it again on the webinar, but I'm going to spend a few more minutes here. The first thing is obviously you want to post your print content online. Now, different publishers have different views of how and when and so forth, but eventually your print content needs to be posted online. And no, I don't mean in pure digital edition form. That's an option, but it needs to go up as an article or as an event or whatnot. And it should be cross-linked. Our In This Issue approach creates a given article for the entire issue, links out to the related content and so forth. But if your articles in print refer to a business, it should link out to that business in the directory or an event in the calendar or other articles or wherever it needs to go. So make sure that your print content isn't just plain text, but that it does include some of these links and some of these other enhancements, which could very well be video or gallery or Q&A or whatnot. Then you want to post your web-only and related content. So if you have your print article and then there's a whole supplemental piece that is an Ask the Expert piece, maybe it's sponsored, of course, that's going to go up as a separate article. Now, it's going to be linked to from the original piece online, and it will link back to the original piece online, but it should be a separate piece of content. This will increase the engagement, increase the focus, increase the sharing, and SEO and all of that good stuff. Once you've got all of your sort of articles and content posted, now's the time for you to create your, in this issue, your ITI article. Again, this is a roll-up of your content. It's often used as a publisher letter, or at least an introduction to the issue. It should be at least a couple brief paragraphs saying, here's what you can expect, here's some articles, here's some highlights, here's some things going on. It is that brief introduction to the issue. And below that, you should link out to all of the related content, both the print content and the web-only / related content. Using the system that we've built, the CCE system, it's very easy to insert content. So once you've already gotten the articles produced, it's just a matter of doing quick lookups and hitting the insert content option, and it'll build it out for you. If you are inclined to use a digital edition, this is where it goes. Doesn't go on the sidebar, doesn't go on the home page. It goes here on this article. It will be there forever, that means, because this article will persist even as new issues come about. And it also means that as people are reading or sharing your digital edition, they're really reading and sharing this article, which keeps people coming to your brand and so forth. Now, one little bonus tip here, you can absolutely add an email opt-in to this page. Would you like to be notified of upcoming issues? Click here to opt into our email list. Great way to grow your email. Finally, once you've got the ITI article created, there's a couple things you need to do. You need to add it to your homepage, which is as simple as promoting the article, and you'll want to create a sidebar graphic. That's what you see in the far right on number 3 here. This graphic is persistent. It can, in fact, be your cover, so it looks like, click to read, but then it brings you to the ITI article, if you're so inclined. And then you also want to update your archives. So when you use this approach, updating your archives takes maybe 15 seconds, because you can go to your archives page and you can do an insert lookup, and you can find the ITI that you're interested in. In this case, it'd be for June or whatnot, and you can insert it and you're done. So this approach, while it does take a little thought and organization, it will be very efficient and allows you to do a number of things very effectively. So this is sort of the meat and potatoes of it. This is where you're going to spend the majority of your time, depending on the number of articles and how interconnected you build it. But it is a really strong investment, because then you can go out and you can use it through community engagement. Clearly, you want to share your ITI article to Facebook or Twitter or other social streams. You may very well send an email newsletter. In fact, you should send an email newsletter highlighting content. I want to stress, though, we sometimes see publishers send out a newsletter, the May issue's here, and it's basically a picture of the cover and a link. That's pretty boring. You get that and you go, all right. There's no urgency. I can't even really see the cover, so all that time and energy you put into making the cover attractive and engaging doesn't really land with me, and I'm probably going to delete it. I may not even open the thing because your subject line was so boring and I've got better things to do at the moment. So you really want to make this punchy. You want to highlight content, right? People don't read your magazine or your newspaper by and large because it's issue 32. They read it because there's something engaging in it that catches their attention, or they expect that there's something engaging. Don't make them hope. Show it to them. So use individual articles and concepts within your emails to drive engagement. Same is true for Facebook. The ITI is a great building point, starting point, but you want to build off of that. And that's where we come into suggested activities. Now, in a previous office hours, we talked about email marketing basics and so forth, but this is a very quick revisit. Share individual articles and events and so forth to social media. If you do a profile on a business or a person, it makes it really easy for them to hit the like button when they see their own face smiling at them on Facebook. Likewise, it gives them something that they can share to their social media feeds, all of which is good for your brand and traffic. You also want to send supplemental emails. So one email a month doesn't cut it. Ideally, you'll have a few different groups, and you may have 3 or 4 emails a week going out ultimately to different people based on their interests. Some for events, maybe you got some coupons, and of course some highlights. We know some of our news-oriented sites have daily emails that go out, and people really appreciate that as a daily daily coffee for their community. But these supplemental emails can highlight high-profile activities, which means maybe it's your featured stories, maybe it's a big benefit coming up, maybe you've got a contest or something like that that has a um, little added excitement to it. And you want to make sure that you include some calls to action in that as you go, so that it's not just one topic, but they sprinkled around the edge. You let people know, don't forget about our calendar, don't forget to post your business to review, etc. And then, of course, if someone is profiled, at least profiled positively in your publication, encourage them to share it. Congratulations, we wrote a profile about your business or about your philanthropic efforts or whatever it is. This is an opportunity for them to brag without looking like they're bragging, right? They can say, hey, I'm really excited to be featured in such and such publication. And so they can pat themselves on the back and they can feel good about it and they can promote you. And that's what you want. You want to align your interests with theirs. And then finally, create recaps. Recaps come in a lot of shapes and sizes. Some publishers do most read articles, some do most shared, some do most commented. The point here is you've got all this great content. Find ways to extend it, to add it new life, because when you hit like or share to Facebook, a whopping 1 to 3 or 4%, if you're lucky, of your fans see it. So the odds are, amidst all the promoting we recommend that you do, there's still a significant audience in your community who hasn't seen your most popular articles, your most engaging events, and so forth. So use this opportunity to create recaps. Some of what we do in our office hours, some of what we do in our blogs use this concept, albeit not locally, but this allows you to very quickly and easily produce more content and, frankly, to engage people in new ways. Again, I want you to remember, email is more powerful than social. You have more control. The open rates and the engagement rates are now far higher than most social platforms, at least as far as you're concerned. If you have content that goes viral and other people are sharing it, social becomes incredibly powerful. But you can't push that. You create great content, you share it, you prime that pump, and you hope that it moves forward well. But email is something that you can have more control over, again, because things like Facebook feeds and Twitter feeds are so inundated, any given post that you have doesn't reach nearly as many people as a given email would. So with that, this is a very brief office hours. Obviously, we've covered a good amount of information quickly. Hopefully, this feels much more like review than introduction, but the checklist is something that you can have as a reference, and that should trigger you to remember some of these things or even to go look at previous office hours. Now, there's a question, create recaps. How are you referring to articles on the website or in print or both? Well, ideally, all of your print articles will be put online, if not the day the print issue hits, within a few days or weeks or whatever. That's your call. We're not going to really focus on when they go up, but eventually every piece of content in print should find its way to the web, because that's what Google sees. That's how people can search and find you, is through your content. So the recaps would recap anything that you deem interesting. So you might say, most shared, or and again, that could be a business. If you're running a 5-star customer reviews contest, you might have businesses that are really promoting themselves and getting their customers to promote them. You might have business listings that are some of your most read content. That's fine. You can create a most visited business listings article. And you can encourage businesses sort of in a subtle way to enroll, because look at all this great exposure they're getting. And by the way, here are 5 businesses that had a lot of traffic this month or this quarter or this whatever. There's a lot of options with that. And forgive me if I didn't answer your question. If you were asking a different question, go ahead and let me know. And if there are any other questions as well, feel free to add those now, as I sort of subtly rolled into Q&A without a whole lot of transition.